Hi. My hands say hello. My hands say hello. Every time I see my friends, my hands say hello. Should we say hello another way today? What about our eyebrows? My eyebrows say hello. My eyebrows say hello. Every time I see my friends, my eyebrows say hello. Can your eyebrows say hello? Hello, welcome to story time. I have a new story today, as I will every time. This one is New at the Zoo. What letter does zoo start with there? A Z. That's right. New at the Zoo by Peter Slipman. There's just one name, so he's the author and the illustrator. What does the author do? Wrote the words. How about the illustrator? Drew the pictures. That's right. Excuse me. New at the Zoo. Oh, look. A box came. Let's see. One afternoon, the postman brought a package to the zoo. Inside the box was a furry baby animal with bright eyes, and it was nibbling on an envelope. He's much too little to stay outside, said Mr. Benjamin. He should stay in my office with me. While Joshua played, that's the animal's name, Mr. Benjamin opened the letter. Instructions for feeding and care of Joshua. 1. At breakfast, lunch, and dinner, feed 1 bottle of milk and 3 bags of peanuts. Put in his basket 1 pillow, 1 blanket, and 1 small bone. At bedtime, to get Joshua to go to sleep. We don't know what's next. Someone ate it. That was all he could read, because the rest of the note had been completely nibbled away. Excuse me. Well, at bedtime, Mr. Benjamin tucked Joshua in and kissed him goodnight, and he sat down to wait for Joshua to fall asleep. But nothing happened. Joshua chewed on his bone and wagged his tail. Mr. Benjamin read the instructions again. He wished Joshua had not eaten up number 3. That's the part about going to sleep. And then he had an idea. I'll pretend to go to sleep so Joshua will know that it's bedtime. That's a good idea. Think it will work? Let's find out. So Mr. Benjamin laid down on his couch, he fixed his pillow, and he closed both of his eyes. And Joshua lay down on his blanket, fixed his pillow, and closed his eyes too. Is it working? Mr. Benjamin laid very still, and then he carefully opened one eye, and he looked at Joshua, and Joshua was looking back at him. Mr. Benjamin sighed. I need help. And he wrote a short note about Joshua to all the animals, and then he cupped his hand and whooped as loudly as he could. Who's he asking for help? All the other animals. Let's see who will help first. Homer, the zoo's messenger, heard the call, and he came, and he picked up the note, and he flew away. Soon Joshua and Mr. Benjamin heard pit-pat, 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 rattle, rattle, squeak. And they both sat up, and they listened, and the door opened, and the raccoon was the first to come. The raccoon sat down. Mr. Benjamin lay down on his couch and closed his eyes again. The raccoon yawned and rolled himself into a ball and threw his tail over his eyes and pretended to be asleep. Joshua yawned. He rolled himself into a ball, threw his tail over his eyes, and they waited. Mr. Benjamin carefully opened one eye, and the raccoon slowly lifted up the very tip of his tail to let one round black eye see out. And across the room, Joshua raised the tip of his tail so that one bright eye peeked out at them. Mr. Benjamin and the raccoon wondered what to do next. Suddenly, they heard a voice say, "I'll try." The turtle had come in so quietly, no one knew he was there. Mr. Benjamin lay down on his couch. The raccoon flopped his tail over his eyes again, and the turtle pulled himself completely inside of his shell. First his head, and then his tail, and finally all 4 feet. And Joshua scrunched down in his basket, puffed out his fur as far as it would go, and pulled himself into his fur. First his head, and then his tail, and finally all 4 feet, and only a little bit of his black nose stuck out. And everyone waited. Then Mr. Benjamin opened one eye, and the raccoon lifted his tail, and the turtle peeked out his head, and they all watched Joshua. And soon his shiny black nose poked all the way out, and a round, bright eye was looking at them. Boom, bang, clink! Annabelle the ostrich jumped in through the window. She had been watching. Do you think the ostrich will be able to help Joshua sleep? Mr. Benjamin lay down on the couch and closed his eyes. The raccoon put his tail over his eyes. The turtle pulled himself inside of his shell. And Annabelle, the ostrich, shoved her head under the rug. And Joshua copied Annabelle, and he shoved his head under the blanket. Is it going to work? Is Joshua going to sleep? After a very little while, the ostrich peeked. Mr. Benjamin, the raccoon, and the turtle peeked too. At first, they could see only a bump under the blanket, and then out came a black nose, 2 bright eyes, and 2 furry ears. They didn't know what to say or do, because not one of them knew how to get Joshua to go to sleep. What would you do? Those are some good ideas. Someone said, "We must call Homer." And they all went whoop whoop as loudly as they could. Samuel, said Homer. Samuel is the animal expert on sleep. And Homer flew off to get Samuel. I wonder who Samuel is. And they all wondered if he would come. He almost never went out. He slept morning, noon, and night. In the morning, it was too early, and in the afternoon, it was too late. I think Samuel likes to sleep. But from out in the hall, they heard shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. And yawn, said a sleepy voice. Oh my! Well, here we are, and there in the doorway was Samuel the Sloth. He said, hello, and then he said, good night, and he flopped down in the doorway and started to snore. What do you think it sounded like? Well, everyone else got into their sleeping positions, and they closed their eyes. But in a minute, everyone opened at least one eye to peek. Except the sloth. He was really asleep and snoring loudly. Actually, it says zzz. Can you read it? Good. Gradually, all their eyes closed again. Gradually means slowly. Gradually, all their eyes closed again. This time, they kept them closed. And before anyone knew it, Mr. Benjamin was asleep. The raccoon and the turtle and the ostrich were asleep. And soon, Joshua was asleep too. The end, 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 the end. Thank you for joining me for New at the Zoo. See you next time.